What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. Today we are doing the recap of last week, what we learned in week 4. I already recorded this video, but turns out computers like to glitch. So only recorded 3 minutes of 18 minutes. Love that. So I promised you guys 2 videos today. I posted the game picks earlier, which of course I'm going to record after this because my dumbass kind of forgot to do that. But let's get on with the video. I'm going to record both of these back to back, so we should have a little bit of fun here. First off, Denver, New York. We didn't really learn much except nothing. I mean, Brett Ripien looked like a pretty good quarterback, and then he looked like a rookie. So he has his stumbles, and I think Denver has a guy who can kind of be that number 30 to 32 style quarterback in the NFL, similar to Sam Darnold. And I think Denver's honestly a little bit better than New York in pretty much everywhere. So I think that's why Denver can prevail over New York. But yeah, they have somebody who's suitable. But Drew Lock, in my opinion, is much better. At least they know they have a capable backup. I got this game wrong. Joe looked like a fucking stud. Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars have kind of cooled off. DJ Chark didn't. You know, he had a very good game. I believe he had 8 receptions for 89 yards or something. Maybe a touchdown or 2. DJ Chark looked pretty good. And Robinson's looking pretty good as well. But I think they're really kind of missing Fournette. And that sounds a little bit ludicrous given the fact that Robinson's been an absolute stud. But I think they missed that heavy ground and pound that just took the life out of the defense. And you guys can call me out on that. I'm perfectly fine with you guys doing that. But I legit think that moving on from Fournette was a good thing in the long run because they're going to get a better pick. But if they want to actually get wins, I think him and Robinson would have been an amazing duo, similar to not Latavius Murray. I mean, that's currently right now. But Ingram and Alvin Kamara, I think that would be kind of the similar situation right there. Obviously, worse on both accounts, but you guys get the idea. Joe Burrow, we didn't learn anything. He's been a stud, top 10 quarterback ever since he came into the league. Still looking good. Got his first victory against the Jacksonville team that is still pretty talented, so can't take anything away from them. Next, we didn't learn anything from this game. I mean, Stidham had a pretty good game. You know, he had 1 pick 6, and I believe that was him and not Hoyer, but Hoyer looked stupid. He looked like a fucking dumbass, but Stidham looked pretty solid. Pick 6 was because Edelman was just negligent and dropped the fucking ball. That was not his fault at all. Maybe one of the picks was a little bit stupid, but I mean, can't really get on the guy. The poor guy's had like literally 3 quarters of experience, and you know he has some time to develop. He's definitely not the answer like we all knew, and Cam Newton is. So we didn't really learn anything else besides that. Buffalo, Vegas didn't learn anything. Both teams played really well. Both teams looked good. You know, that it is what it is. It was a very good game. Vegas still looks like they could be playoff contention. And Buffalo's still looking like they're fucking cooking with Crisco. Love it. I got this game wrong. It looks like we need to halt the brakes on Nick Foles. I wasn't too crazy about Nick Foles. You know, obviously I said Nick Foles could lead the Bears to the Super Bowl. But, again, I was a huge fan of Indianapolis. And Indianapolis is doing exactly what I thought they would do, minus Phillip Rivers being a top 10 quarterback. I thought Phillip Rivers with time would be able to actually kick some ass, but Jonathan Taylor's saving him big time. Nick Foles, I mean, I think everybody needs to just halt the brakes a little bit, and that's okay, because Nick Foles is not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's just a good game manager, and I think Trubisky would have done even worse. So, I seriously think that there's nothing really that we learned about Nick Foles apart from the fact that we got to make sure that we don't overhype everybody as soon as we see him come in and save a game and be super clutch. You know, Bears are still in it, but they're 3-1 for God's sakes. You know, they're not going to be complete butt cheeks just because they lose a game to a very powerful team in Indianapolis. Chargers, Tampa Bay. We learned a lot about Herbert here, not really much about Brady. Brady looked good. He threw 5 touchdowns, 5 different receivers, looked solid. We all know Brady is still a good guy. He's still the GOAT. But Herbert looked really good. He challenged Brady up to the last minute, and that is impressive. For a rookie to do that, like, Chargers and Bengals did both a very good job, and imagine if Tua comes out and is just balling. This could be similar to the 2004 draft class, I believe, with Ben Roethlisberger, and you had just a plethora of other guys in that class that just were absolutely amazing. You got Eli Manning, you had Phillip Rivers in there as well. Like, all those guys are going to be super Hall of Fame worthy players, and I think that could be similar if these 3 end up continuing what they're doing. Next game, Cleveland. I honestly didn't expect Cleveland to put up 49 points, but at this point, we kind of should expect it with the type of roster that they have on offense. You know, Odell Beckham Jr. finally was Odell Beckham Jr. So unless they don't continue to stick to their identity, they should be doing pretty damn well. Dallas, I mean, 500 yards from Dak Prescott, you can't really ask much more from him, but I gotta admit, it is kind of Dallas's fault for falling behind and having to get 500 yards and like 4 touchdowns in order to actually be competitive in the game. You gotta be a little bit better than that. So, I think that even though Dak is looking great, he needs to be better at the start of games and not just finish the games off. That's going to be the key here. Phillip Rivers played that all the time in Los Angeles, and or San Diego and Los Angeles, and there's a reason why he never really won the chip, and that's because you can't win every game from behind. Next, Seattle, Miami. We didn't learn anything here. Russell Wilson's Russell Wilson, and Fitzpatrick didn't look bad. Like there's definitely nothing that we really learned here. Teams are just doing well all over the place. There's teams that are actually finally the step in their shoes. Cincinnati, Joe's finally being able to be more comfortable. Cleveland, for God's sakes, they actually did stuff. Seattle's been just doing whatever they've been doing. But just imagine if Tua is the same grade as Herbert and Joe Burrow. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be great to see that this quarterback class was as good as we thought. Next, Baltimore, Washington didn't learn absolutely anything. Lamar is looking pretty lackluster, I must admit, but I think they're going to have a bounce back because I think Lamar is going to get frustrated and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and that's kind of the key to getting the Ravens to be absolutely fucking monsters. Like, obviously, they're not ass, but I think they're not reaching their potential. And Bill O'Brien's fired, so at least that is taken out of the equation, but he wasn't fired because of the fact that they were 0-4. He got fired because he and J.J. Watt got into a fucking shouting match, and on top of that, he was 0-4, has been absolute butt cheeks, yada, yada, yada. You guys know the drill. Minnesota, if it wasn't for Dalvin Cook, man, Minnesota would be probably 0-4. I mean, they're 1-3, so they definitely would be 0-4. Dalvin Cook is a savior for this Minnesota team, which kind of makes sense why you should probably start thinking about drafting running backs in the second round and not the first. Apart from this year with ETN, because that guy's an absolute beast. Jonathan Taylor is making as big of an impact as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Indianapolis got Michael Pittman before him, and I don't know if they got a different player. I'm not 100% sure. But they got Michael Pittman before, and they got Jonathan Taylor. I would much rather take that haul than just Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's a lot more value to be had. Next, New Orleans, Detroit. The only thing I really learned here is that Detroit can put up numbers, and I've said this when I did my predictions video, and Detroit fans got pissed off at me. I said, Detroit is a great team, but not good enough to pull themselves over the hump in many games, and that's why their record looked like shit. It wasn't because they're bad, it just is because they're not as good as everybody else. They can always challenge a team, but they can't always beat a team. And New Orleans, it was kind of down to the wire, which is a little embarrassing for Drew Brees, but we all know Drew's kind of fallen off a cliff. Next, this was the game I did not see coming. Kyler Murray needs to get his head and ass wired together. Quarterbacks can go on a losing streak here and there, but it's the best quarterbacks in the league that are able to stop the momentum and be able to reverse it. So we'll see how he does this week. Carolina, they're doing great. Teddy is looking like a great investment, and I said that at the beginning of the year. I didn't expect them to be 2-2 right now. I thought maybe they'd be 1-3, but Teddy Bridgewater's looking pretty solid, and he's looking like the perfect type of guy to have your team stable over a long period of time, but obviously not good enough to make a big impact. And when you have young guys, making sure that they have actually some morale here and there is kind of good to encourage them to develop. So Carolina, Matt Rule, I absolutely love the signing of Matt Rule, bringing him to Carolina from Baylor. Plus, I hate Baylor, so good thing to get him out of there. But yeah, I love it. I love it. Good job, Carolina. New York Jets, Rams, not Chargers, but Rams. I kind of expected a little bit more. So the end, we need to take the foot off the gas for the Rams offense. But I mean, hey, Cooper Kupp did pretty well for my fantasy team. Of course, Brandon Cooks, god awful, did not even show up. 3 targets, 0 receptions. Talk about a horrible trade. DeAndre Hopkins looking like the number 2 fantasy wide receiver, let alone the fact that he's actually making a big impact. And then David Johnson kind of cooled off after week 1, so a little bit sketch, but that's just a big no. Now, Rams, I think they need to be kind of similar to Nick Foles. You got to take a step back, because New York, you should have been able to put up 35 easy. You put 35 up on the Bills, you better put 45 up on the Giants. But it's not everybody's week. Some teams have off weeks and stuff, and hopefully the Rams get back to it, because I mean, Los Angeles pride, it might as well, like, it'd be kind of nice to be proud of our teams. And Chargers did a good job. I said they did a horrible job by selecting Herbert at that point, but turns out they did a good job. Philly, San Francisco. What do we learn? Philadelphia can beat a horrifically destroyed San Francisco. That's great. Yeah, you had Greg Ward as your only like active wide receiver, but come on, stop kissing ass. You guys look for an excuse every way you turn. You should have beaten San Francisco 800 points to none. You know, like for fuck's sake, they signed Ziggy Ansah and the dude's like arm got broken or some shit. Like, come on, they don't even have a damn pass rush. You guys should have done much better than that. But glad you guys finally got a W. You're atop the division just because you beat one of the worst teams in the NFL. So hey, cheers to you. And Green Bay, Atlanta, didn't really learn much. Again, similar to the Rams, I'm a little bit worried that the Atlanta offense has cooled off a bit. Two weeks in a row, Matt Ryan just under 12 points fantasy-wise. So we need to halt the brakes, and I think that Atlanta can get it back rolling because they have a damn good team. So let me know what you guys think. Fun week, but I did get quite a few wrong. How many did I get wrong? I got 1 wrong here, 2, 3, 4. Did I get 5 wrong? I got 5 wrong. So I mean, some of these were big upsets. I thought finally in Houston that Deshaun could actually pull off the victory, but Brandon Cooks kind of said no to that. This one is just out of this fucking world. I'm very, very happy with Matt Rule and how he's able to coach. And obviously, yeah, you know the drill, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the far side. Peace.